What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to Detox Proxy. This episode is kind of unplanned, and I didn't really script it in my mind, which I like to do with my normal videos. I had a mushroom trip just a few nights ago that was very unexpected. Well, I expected to take the mushrooms and trip out, but what happened was a little bit just unexpected. So I had never tried these mushrooms before. They're kind of from a friend through a friend that kind of, grows mushrooms. And they were called he calls them white rabbits. It being Friday night, I'm thinking, oh yeah, let's, fall down the rabbit hole and see what happens. And the previous week, I had taken 4 grams of another strain, one that I kind of usually take, I guess, and had a great trip. So I'm thinking, well, just 4 grams, right? Take 4 grams of these white rabbits and have a good time. Well, what I decided on doing was watching the movie Avatar, kind of to, bring me up to the movie that's out now, so that when I go to watch it, I kind of got a reference. Any which way, that was the plan. I was going to watch Avatar. And I did I put the mushrooms in my ramen noodle soup, and 4 grams. And that usually creates a very fast come up. So usually just eating mushrooms, they generally take an hour or a little bit more to really start kicking in. But the soup, it's like half an hour, 40 minutes, and you're starting to feel some pretty good action happening. Well, that kind of happened. So about half an hour after I had the soup, I started to feel the psilocybin taking action in me. And I said, okay, it's time to start the movie. Bam. I got 4.5 minutes or 5 minutes into this movie. And it's when, right in the start of the movie, the main Jake is putting his brother into the incinerator, and there's a couple guys standing there, and they're all kind of talking, and it kind of goes a little bit grayscale in color, and they start talking in an echo because just they're in an echoing kind of room, and that's just what they do with the audio in the movie. And as soon as that happened, something happened to me where I call it like you're transitioning into a different dimension or something. Anyways, looking at this one man on screen, I started to almost like look right into his soul or something. And when that happened, I was leaning forward. I recognized that I was leaning forward, and it kind of snapped me out of it. And that's when I realized that my consciousness was like, it was leaving me. And I couldn't tell if I started to, I was wondering if I was going to pass out, because I have actually passed out on mushrooms before. And I got that feeling. And of course, when that started to happen, and then thinking about what I saw, the trip started getting dark, like right away, very quickly. Another thing was everything in my room was extremely visual. And I don't mean like moving around and growing and doing things like that. It was just, it was overly vivid. And I knew I just needed to go in the washroom, make a nice little spot down on the floor of the washroom, get some blankets, because I noticed the chill coming on right away. I was getting very cold. My body temperature starting to drop very quickly. Turned the heat up in the washroom. Took my vape in there with me. That first half an hour, I struggled with consciousness, I guess. I kept on thinking I was going to pass out. I I kept on wanting to close my eyes. And when I did, I was getting a lot of visual action happening. But I just kept on thinking I was going to, like, what if I fall asleep? What's going to happen then? Am I going to wake up and it's going to be worse? And then I really started to wonder, from everything that was happening, that I had poisoned myself somehow. Like, these were just so abrupt. 4 grams of these things were just kicking the shit out of me. And I was like, what is going on here? And I started to think of the way they looked and the guy that I got them from. And I was like, really starting to wonder what was happening. I started to wonder if I should try and be sick and get what was left of them out of my stomach. So yeah, it just got pretty dark from there. I was very out of control. I worried about my breathing and my heart rate and my body temperature, and there was a lot of concern, but I really couldn't tell what was happening, so I just kind of hoped for the best. I had 2 bottles of water in there with me. I knew I was going to be there for hours because I couldn't really function a lot to do much else. I mean, I could certainly get up and go into my bedroom, get a pillow or get a blanket, those type things, but to actually spend time out of the washroom, I was concerned about things happening. Now, as the trip progressed, time was I was thinking, okay, I've got so many hours, and all of this is going to end. All this craziness that's going on right now will end. And it's something I kind of always reassure myself so that I don't get overly concerned and think I need to pick up the phone and call somebody for help or something. And so I would think to myself, okay, I'm sitting in the washroom not doing really anything. It must have been 40 minutes at least by now, maybe closer to an hour. And then I would go and pick up my phone and I would look at it, and only 5 minutes had passed. And time distortion is kind of normal with mushrooms, and I've experienced plenty of it before, but this was drastic. That's when I realized, wow, I might be in trouble here, because I'm still in the early stages of the trip. I haven't even gotten close to the climax yet. So yeah, that was a little concerning, and it probably made me worry a lot within the trip. So as I started thinking that I'd poisoned myself, then the thoughts started to roll, and I just dove right down into the rabbit hole. I started to think that, wow, people are eating these things. What if everyone starts eating them? Or what if we all go crazy? What if the mushrooms turn everyone in the world crazy? And we all just think we're supposed to eat the mushrooms. And the thought process went just zigzagged. And usually I have great control and discovery and exploration within my trips. But this was it hit you with a hammer and twirl you in a circle and then send you out in a wonderland. It was just so strange and so distorted, and from so early on, and with such a low dose. And even though in the beginning of the trip I was extremely concerned about how dangerous they might be, and I'm never doing mushrooms again, and that's it for me in psychedelics, there's no point. So a lot of my thoughts were like that, and probably close almost all the way to the end of the trip. But as I came to the end, I started to realize how much more work is there I can actually do? How much more discovery is there for me? So I came out of the trip thinking that way, and I made this little clip. I actually grabbed my phone because I was just I got to talk about this to something. I've just come out of like a really, really serious trip, really, really deep. And I guess I'm coming to the point in psychedelics, I think, where I can't get a lot further. I've I've got a really good understanding of this reality that we live in, and you know what we do as beings on this planet. And I don't know if there's a lot further I can go, and I don't know if psychosis is beyond this, because obviously it's like what I just went through was pretty much a psychotic event, I guess. Um, and I don't want it to alter my daily life and my daily reality too much. Uh, I I realize I've gotten a little bit far out there, and kind of just need to not like take a break or anything. I just need to make sure that I've got a good future ahead and I don't scramble my brain too badly. Yeah. So yeah, even though I had talked that way and really even still kind of considered, am I kind of finished with mushrooms? Do I really, is there more out there for me to explore? And I just realized that there's always going to be more. Like this is just endless, and each trip is a new adventure. This one was just, maybe I take a little less of these things next time. I'm glad I didn't take like 8 grams. Let's just put it that way. But I think different strains may have something to do with this, because I've taken some really weird, like hybrid strains that have some wild, crazy names, and they seem to be the most screwed up trips. And then your more natural, classical mushroom names have more of a medicinal type of therapeutic trip. So I'm trying to decide, to make an actual decision. Is there a difference between all these mushrooms, or is it just one has so much more psilocybin content that it just takes you to this place that you would get if you took half an ounce of these other mushrooms? Is it the same as you take 8 grams of these? I'm trying to figure that out at this point, and I think that's what's on the agenda for the next couple months anyway. Yeah, so I just wanted to make this video. Those mushrooms are crazy. Makes me realize that you have to take a lot more concern jumping into doses. 4 grams is my normal dose, and to have it just beat on me like that, I'm still blown away. Still blown away. It was a few days ago. So if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here and you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button for me. Leave your questions and comments further down below, and I'll see you in the next one.